Hey there, proud Christian girl here. I'm gonna just call myself PCG. Um, Glad you could join me today. Hope you have an amazing day. I hope you've had an amazing day so far, depending on when you listen to this. Again, welcome. Thank you. I do want to apologize that I have been remiss in adding content to my channel. Let me explain why. Because I've been just trying to figure out how I want to do this. And as I contemplate and toss and turn over and over at night, trying to figure out how I want to do this, I've decided I'm going to just start. So, my grandma, who passed away a while ago, she would always tell me, just start, Sarah, just start. So, here's what I'm going to do I'm just going to start it and see where it goes. I'm going to just begin my first series, which is called Working It Out series, okay? And right now we're just starting, but I want to kind of give you an overview of what I'm looking at. When I say Working It Out series, I'm actually thinking of Philippians 2:12. And we're going to go in a little bit depth on that, but I just want to again apologize for the lack of content at this moment. I got sick last Thursday. I'm on Dayquil today, so I'm feeling okay. Once the Dayquil wears off, though, I have a very sore throat, coughing, sneezing, all the wonderful cold and flu symptoms that you can think of. I've got my fever. I feel like today is the first day I don't feel puny, so I hope the fever is finally gone. But anyway, it's taken me a while because I have been just trying to figure out how I want to do this. So last night, as I was tossing and turning, because I didn't take NyQuil last night, because I'm not a person who likes taking medicine. I like to avoid it at all costs. So I just think I wanted to, you know, try it without it, which I won't do it again. Anyway, give me 1 second here. I got a cough. Ooh, I do have a pause on my recording. I see that now. Okay, so good. Yeah, I'm going to be coughing even more. Not only if do I have allergy issues, but I now have a cold and flu like symptoms going on. Hopefully I sound okay. I don't sound too congested today, which is great. But let me explain. So this is my Working It Out series, and in Philippians 2, I have a couple of things I want to do. I want to read a couple of versions, and it's really going to be Philippians 2:12 through 14 is what I want to focus on today. And I'm going to just read a couple different verses, read a couple things I've learned in my commentaries, and just give you my own thoughts on it because I love this verse because it does help with perspective, I guess. So I'm going to read. This is the NIV version. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the NAS. Hold on, I like to do different versions. Let me tell you why I like to do different versions. They say the similar thing, but they put it into perspective a little bit more. So I'm going to do the NASB. This is the 1995 version, okay? And I'm going to read a couple things, and I'm going to read it slow and steady, just because there's a couple things I want to. I'm sorry, I'm doing 12 through 14, right? Yeah, okay, 12 through 14, and I'm going to add 14 because I want to tell you something else with that 14. So here's the NASCB. It's Philippians 2:12 through 14. It says, "So then, my beloved, just as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but how much more in my absence, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who is at work in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure. Do all things without grumbling or disputing." That's the NASB version. But first, let's take a look. This is Paul writing this letter, right? So when he's saying, my beloved, that's Paul addressing the Philippians, the Philippi church, right? And he was with them, but now right now he's in jail. So he can't quite be with them, right? And I always took this as like, oh, God's presence. But there is a time when God is silent. You know, he is silent. And I've had many of those moments in the last 12 years where he's just really silent. Not saying he's not working, But I know this is Paul saying, hey, my beloved, just as you've always obeyed, not as in my presence, because he was like their mentor, you know? Um, and I think of a mentor that I had, and I love her dearly. I loved her dearly. She has since passed away, and I'll be honest, she was the best mentor I've ever had. And when I lost her, it was a great loss because I think she was the only one who really understood me, who took the time to understand me, um and if I didn't say everything right, she was just the best mentor. I'm so sorry because I have some really beautiful mentors in my life right now, and I dearly love them. And I'm not saying that they're, you know, it's just that I've never had anybody who took such time to really just to get to know me, my flaws and all, because I have many. And when she left, it was hard. It was hard. And it was in a time where, when she passed away, is when I was making major decisions in my life. And she was kind of my bouncing board on what I was doing. And I've already made a couple of decisions what I was doing, and she was so supportive, so supportive. And it just, anyway, it was a hard time for me. But I think, it was almost like Paul was that way. I'm right not with you, but, because they're there to encourage you. Those people, those mentors are there to encourage you, to uplift you, to keep you going. And I do have one in particular that, they have been there through thick and thin. So I'm not saying I don't have awesome mentors right now. It's just that there was something unique about her. And I don't even know how. I wish I could be like her, really. I wish I could. I know we're supposed to be more like Christ, but I do aspire to be a little bit more like her. I'm more on the edge. I'm more uptight. I don't know. I wish I could be just a little bit like her. Anyway, so this is Paul saying, hey, while I'm not here, I'm in jail. I want to be with you, whatever. These are my own words, please. Okay. This is just my interpretation. Okay. And I want to address that too, because there is another series that I kind of want to address, and I do have a couple of things, and I'll wait for those moments, because I do have kind of this whole series kind of mapped out for me, and this is just the one of many, okay? Because last night I couldn't sleep, I couldn't breathe. I think that was the hardest point. I had to sit up constantly just to be able to breathe. I was so stuffed up. My throat was hurting. Honestly, I should have just taken some NyQuil. Anyway, so we'll go back to some of these things that are a little bit left up in the air, okay, in other episodes. But I'm looking at this, and, Paul's like, hey, I'm not with you right now. And I know when I'm there, sometimes when you have those mentors, it's easier to just obey the Lord, right? They're just so inspiring. They just have such a testimony. It's easier, right? But he says, no, not in my absence. Just kind of keep working out your salvation. So this is where I want to go into. Working out your salvation with fear and trembling, okay? Some of these translations I'm going to read in just a few minutes. Your own salvation. We have a personal relationship with Christ. When you come to know Christ as your Savior, and this is what really brought me to him, where the understanding finally hit me like a ton of bricks back when I finally understood the plan of salvation, is it is your own walk with the Lord. It is a relationship, just like you have with your friends, your relatives. It is a relationship. Granted, he's not standing right beside you. He's not eyeball to eyeball contact with you, right? But when I finally grasped the concept, it's just not mere words and understanding the plan of salvation. It is a genuine relationship that you have with Christ. And you can talk to him by prayer, right? He talks back to you through his word. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Bible, and it's God's holy, breathed word. He uses people like you and I. And that's what this is really saying when you look at the whole picture. For it is God who is at work in you, right? When the Holy Spirit comes and lives inside you, he's inside you. And you have those convicting moments. Recently I had a convicting moment. I had an opportunity with my family again to just talk about the Lord and the plan of salvation. And there is that movement of the Holy Spirit inside you, guiding you. I believe it firmly, and I've experienced it. And anyway, I believe the Bible is God's breathed word, so he can talk back to you. And I'm sorry, I have so much I want to share. It's going to be hard for me to stay on track sometimes because again, another podcast that I hopefully will be recording here in a moment. I'm just trying to do the images. You're going to learn a little bit about my background, okay? And how I believe and what I believe, and also like and I'll back it up with verses, okay? I'm going to try backing up with verses. And I'm not here to preach. That's the thing. And I want the verses because it's really God's holy word that's going to penetrate anybody or teach them or grow them or change them. It is not anything I can do. And I'm just kind of sharing my journey because I have another series that I'm going to be working on. And I don't know how many of these episodes I can get recorded and out there. And I don't know how I'm going to get them out there, but I have another series that I'm working on, which I'll be recording shortly. And it's going to just, hopefully, as you listen to each one, because I don't want them to be so extremely long that I bore you. I don't want to bore you. That's not what I'm here for. I want to share my journey. I want you to feel as though, I want you to be connected to it. Because I feel as though, like, with all my friends, when we sit there and talking about the Lord, or we talk about, our struggles, because yes, as a Christian, you're going to struggle. It's always very similar, just different situations. So maybe you're going through something similar or whatever, thinking on something, what I'm thinking on, whatever, this is how it is. Okay. So I'm taking too long. So the reason for Working It Out series is I am working out my own salvation with fear and trembling. And it is God who is at work in me, both to will and to do his good pleasure, okay? But his good pleasure is really good for us. He has plans for us, right? Plans of mercy, all these great plans for us. And sometimes, for me especially, my mind gets in the way of things. And I'm going to explain about a little bit how my brain works when I start studying the Bible. But let's look at a couple different versions, okay? So this was NASB. I'm going to flip over real quick to another version that I absolutely adore is ESV. And I'm going to read that one as well. And I'm just going to, let me pause this so I can cough. Hopefully that paused and I'm back on. I will find out when I edit. Right now I have no internet, so I'm just going with my software that's on my computer. Okay, so this is the ESV version. Let me just read it. Again, Philippians 2:12 through 14. Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, so now, not only as in my presence, but much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure. Do all things without grumbling or disputing. So that's, again, the ESV. This is Paul talking to the Philippians. And just kind of giving them a little bit of advice. We talked about what a mentor is, and I had a very, very dear one. Sorry, very sensitive. I cry very easily. I do miss her. I miss her a great deal. And a lot of people didn't know what kind of role she played in my life, or what kind of relationship her and I had as mentor and mentee. She was very special to me. Anyway, so yeah, I have another podcast that I've been working on. And one of my dreams is just putting it out there because one of these days, all these podcasts are going to come together and you'll see the whole big picture. But if I ever get my own place, something that my dear mentor did is they had a prophet's chamber. And if I ever get my own place, my dream, my goal is to have a prophet's chamber in the honor of them. So anyway, boo-hoo-hoo. I apologize. Again, very sensitive, and I miss her so much. Okay, so the mentor, we got to keep going. It is our own salvation we have to work out. It is our own relationship with the Lord that we have to work out with fear and trembling. I'm going to read a version that I found that I thought really was the first 12 and 13. So Philippians 2, 12 through 13. It's the Amplified Bible version. Not sure how people feel about it, but sometimes I like to hear it in just layman's terms, something I can relate to, So I'm going to read it. So this is the verse. Okay, nope, that's not the one I want. Give me a second. I took screenshots. Okay. Oh, that's the other one. So this one is verse 12. So let me read it in there, and then they also have quotations. This is the Amplified Bible. Oh, wait, which one's this one? Okay, both Amplified. Good. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking through my screenshots. So it says this. This is verse 12. Okay, and there's some parentheses, quotations in marks. Okay, it says, "So then, my dear ones, just as you've always obeyed my instructions with enthusiasm," that's in quotations, or, brackets, "not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation," brackets, "that is, cultivate it, bring it to a full effect, actively pursue spiritual maturity." And then it says, "with awe-inspired fear and trembling, using serious caution and critical self-evaluation to avoid anything that might offend God or discredit the name of Christ." I just like how that is. Because like fear and trembling, we're like, oh, I'm so scared. And rightfully so. God is a wrathful God, right? But Jesus took that wrath for us. And there should be some fear and trembling, right? Because he's all powerful. But this, I like how it says, it's talking about awe-inspired. Awe-inspired. There was a commentary that I really thought was, here's the Aramaic Bible in plain English. It says, "with awe and with trembling, do the service of your life." Okay, so awe. Okay, so my resources are BibleHub.com. I love Matthew Henry's commentary. I have my Bible. What is this called? It's my app, Bible version. What is this thing called? It's a Bible app, and I'll find it in just a second. Let me look at my logo. It's just the YouVersion. It's called YouVersion. And love that. Our church does it, and that's how I found out about it. But anyway, so here is one of the commentaries. This is the Bible Hub. It says, Paul passes to exhort grounded. Okay, let me see. I want to just kind of make it simple here. Okay, so this is the Bible Hub, I think. It says Bible Hub. He encourages them by acknowledging their past obedience. He urges them to work, not for the sake of approving themselves to their earthly teacher, but to think of their unseen Lord and to realize his presence all the more in Paul's absence. He's begun the work in us, right? God has begun the work and he's going to continue it, right? Ephesians 6:13, whatever. Looking at God and there was another thing that I thought was very interesting. Let me see if I can find it. But it's not fear and trembling, but just awe-inspired and just, like, I remember when I first was saved and everything was so amazing to me. When they say everything is new, everything is new. Christmas was different for me, everything. And it was just an exciting time. Like, have a childlike faith. I had. I don't think I have it now. That childlike faith where I just was I saw him working so much because had that childlike faith. And I lost my train of thought, which happens often. But it's that awe moment of like, oh my word, you're so amazing, right? Look at the things that you can do through me, or the things that I thought I was never capable of. I mentioned in one of my podcasts, I'm Moses, Peter, and Martha. Those are the three characters I can relate to so much. And Moses was so used so mightily. And when he was like, huh, I can't get out there and talk. Like, for me, my grammar is terrible. I get on tangents. I mean, all of these things, but yet he just amazed me. I just, so many stories I could share with you that he just amazed me that he was able to do through me. And I didn't even know it. Some of these things I found out after the fact, and it humbled me. It brought me to my knees. It showed me that I have no idea how he's using me in a moment. I have no idea. None. Anyway, so I just wanted to read a little bit of commentaries. And then here is the Amplified for 13. It says, For it is not your strength, but it is God who is effectively at work in you, both to will and to work. That is strengthening, energizing, and creating in you the longing and the ability to fulfill your purpose for his good pleasure. So these verses, and I'm going to explain 14 why I put that in there, because I'll explain it right now. It's a resolution of mine. Okay, I'm such a complainer and a murmurer. I am. I talk under my breath. I go through the house just talking of frustration after frustration. And it was so getting out of control last year. I just felt horrible, right? And I thought if somebody had a bug in this house, they would see a horrible side of me. And I always think people are who they are behind closed doors. There's no hiding when nobody's watching, because you can let yourself go and be free, right? And so this year I kind of told myself, New Year's resolution, I don't know how people feel about that, but I'm using that word. I am going to try and watch myself. And the very first day, January 1st, I was complaining and murmuring. And it affected somebody that I love dearly. And how you behave is obviously what people see about Jesus, right? Because you are a picture of Jesus when you know him. You are to reflect his love. You are to show others the amazing love he has, because it's funny when you are saved, and I'm losing my voice and I'm going to have to cough. I'm going to have to pause. Give me a second here. When you see the plan of salvation, when you honestly understand it and come to know it, there is an amazing moment where it's overwhelming. I remember it. I was overwhelmed when I finally understood it, that he has such a love for you. And there's people in my life that I love dearly. And a lot of people would be like, why do you even keep going there? Well, it's because the love that has been shown to me, why would I not? God did not give up on me. I was saved at 21. He didn't give up on me when even after I was saved, I was the worst person I've ever been. So why would I give up on somebody? He has just really, when you know it, you know it. That's it. When you know it, you know it. Anyway, so back to the Philippians 2:12-13. During this series, I'm going to look at different topics, okay? Right now, this episode's just starts here. I'm just going to start. I have so many ideas. Oh my goodness. Let me turn off my phone. That was my minions. Just kidding. That's my text message, and I just humor myself by putting the minions in there. Anyway, this is just the one aspect. So let me explain. I'm going to be all over the map, okay? I know a lot of people like to read the Bible through the year, and I've done it a couple times. I love it. Not saying it's a horrible thing or anything, but the way I think about things is, okay, I think about a situation that I'm in. And I was trying to think of one. I thought of one last night, but I didn't write it down. Let me see if I put it in here. Um, I don't remember. Just let me see. I don't want to give away some of my series because one of my series is how I think about things of the Bible. But if I'm struggling or if I'm trying to find an example of a specific thing I'm going through, okay? Um, I'm trying to think of a good example and I cannot think of one. Um, hmm. What I do is when I think of a specific thing, I will go through the Bible thinking, okay, who in the Bible has had such a similar situation? And some of my upcoming series or upcoming episodes will be based on that, okay? And so you'll get a little bit more. One thing anyway, I don't want to give anything away. So when I think of a situation, I'm going to try and think of, okay, how does this relate to somebody in the Bible, to something that the Lord said, and how can I apply it, right? Because my next episode will give you a little bit more detail. I have read the Bible a couple times through, but I've also had some really privileged training that honestly I have forgotten, okay? Not forgotten, but I have had some of the best teachers training me. And hopefully I will talk about this dear couple. Miss Sally has since passed on. And another woman who just made a huge impact in my life. And this was my early years in Christianity, my early years of being a child of God. And the way they taught me to really study and to apply it, I have failed in the last 13 years to use. And the way my brain works and what I've been taught is I really want, because it's not, I love Bible plans, okay? And I'm going to try and do a series with a Bible plan, but I haven't come up with one. And I know, what's the saying that my pastor just says? What does it say? Failing to plan is planning to fail, right? So I don't really have a plan this year. To me, I'm just getting my feet back on the ground and hopefully through my other episodes, you'll get to know me a little bit more and understand why I'm just getting my feet back on the ground. You know, I'm feeding myself again with just milk as usual, just as my pastor used to call that has passed on, my daily crumb. Okay, I get my daily crumb in, but it's not enough. And I want to go back into how I used to be. And here's somebody, we're almost 28 minutes. I really want to keep these at 30 minutes. Another dear lady that was an impact in my life, really helped me out. She challenged me. She gave me a timer and she said, listen, I want you to set this for an hour. I want you to go up there. I don't care what you read in the Bible. You just read for an hour. Let me tell you, and you don't have to do an hour, do 15 minutes. I always went over the time frame. And I do love studying because, you know, it is so, you can learn so much, right? And that's what it's for. That's what the Bible's for. Reproving, teaching, you know, and edifying. And anyway, so the series, I see 29 minutes here. I'm going to try and wrap it up. We're going to do a working out series. I don't know how many episodes. This is episode 1. It's just start serum. This is something my grandma always told me when I would always just talk about things and never do it. All talk, no action, right? And she's like, just start it. Who cares how it ends up? Just start. You don't know until you start. And because I called her before she passed away, I was down here. I moved away. I'm originally from Michigan. I'm now in the South. And most of my family's there, and she was there, and I'm in South Carolina. I don't know if that matters, but anyway, I would call her 2-3 times a week because I just missed her, and We had some good times. I can tell you some good times. Again, sensitive. But I would talk about, all these things like my diet, and I do have a podcast or a stream going on with that, and um, all of the stuff. And, she would just say, just start. So here I am. I'm just starting. I hope you really join me. I really hope to build a community because I do want to do some live streams once I start building a community, because right now I'm just doing these wonderful episodes. I have 2 series that I want to go with at this point, and see what comes of it. But if I build a community, please subscribe. Truly, if I build a community, if I get to the point where there's such an amazing crowd coming in and we're all learning together, we're sharing our journey, because I feel like we all have something to share. We've all been on different roads, different paths in our Christian walk. We've faced different things. I mean, I think that's why some of us have different ministries, because of what we've been exposed to. But let me just depart. I'm going to just depart, and we're going to read these verses again. And this is all of us. We got to work it out. We got to be awe-inspired by what God can do through us. We need to be encouraged that he does want to use us, and he does. He has a plan. And then that way, and we're just going to work some things out. There's a couple topics that I want to work out. Some things I've been thinking about. Things I've been struggling with, whatever. You'll see the next topics. But let me just read this, and then we're going to close. And I don't know if I want to close in prayer. I guess I will. I really don't like podcasts that close in prayer. I'm not saying that's terrible. And maybe I'll do it next time or whenever it seems like it's right, because that's not... we need to talk to the Lord, right? And we will. And we'll get there. But let's just focus on... really, let's read it. Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, so now, not only as in my presence, but much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure. Do all things without grumbling or disputing. I added that one because I am the world's worst person with murmuring, disputing, grumbling, whatever. I'm an OCD person. I'm a black and white gal. I'm trying to get into the gray areas. So it's very hard for me. But anyway, I'm going to leave you with this verse. Please join me again on that next episode. I may download them as quick as I do them. I may schedule it out. I don't know. But this is episode 1. Just Start Sarah on the Working Out series. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day.